Mañana, tranquilo, paciencia, no te preocupes, don't worry. Ya mismo viene, he comes soon.
Welcome back to Generic Expats, where we talk about living abroad, being an expat, people that have moved abroad, giving you tips on cost of living, about being in different countries, specifically in season 1 and 2 in Latin America. And we have a special new guest today who is from a different region of the world, who I have not interviewed before. This is a very exciting time for me, and I'm very excited to share this information and to share this new cool individual and his stories with you. So let's go ahead and get to meet him. What is your name?
Hello, my name is Hans.
Hans, and where are you from?
I'm from Germany.
What place specifically in Germany?
I was born near Cologne, but the last years before I came here, I was born in Hamburg.
Okay, so born in Cologne, but did you spend most of your life in Hamburg?
Oh, well, the half.
About half and half.
Yes.
Okay. And where are we now?
Well, we are now in Ibarra, in Ecuador, in La Laguna de Yahuarcocha. This is a lake behind Ibarra and the road to the border of Colombia.
Right, so it's right about in the middle between Quito and the Tulcan border.
Exactly, it's the same distance.
I actually drove past this town and I came back here to meet up with you, and I'm really happy that I did. You're going back to Germany, you said, next week?
Yeah, only for a few time to visit the family, make some paperwork, and later, of course, I came back.
Yeah. So how often do you go back home to Germany?
Well, before it was 3-4 hours, 4 times, all 3-4 years. But now my father is a little older. He has 91 years old, and so I have to go a little often. And my wife, she like to know the grandchildrens.
Yeah, right. So she's going with you
Yes.
on Monday as well? Okay. You used to go back home every 3 or 4 years, and now
Yes.
you're going back pretty frequently because of your father?
Exactly.
Gotcha. Well, it's really cool to be able to meet up with you because, I mean, I drove past this town and I didn't know anything about Ibarra when I was driving from Colombia, and I saw, I'm like, man, this place looks beautiful. Just from the road, you can see how gorgeous it looks. So let's go ahead, before we get to where we are and why you chose this place and what you're doing, let's talk a little bit about your story about how you ended up here. So at what date did you come to Ecuador for the first time?
In 2009, my son, he has the idea to work like a volunteer before he study. And he found a job in a reforestation farm in Mindo. And I visited him. And then we made the trip like backpack around Ecuador with buses for 3-4 weeks. And then I went back to Germany and I said, why not Ecuador? And at least I came.
Okay. And before coming here to Ecuador and coming for the first time, what were you doing back in Germany?
Well, my profession, my original profession is shipping motor engineer. I'm worked like second and third engineer down in the engine room of big civil carriers. But the last job I had before, it was maintenance chief in a refinery in Hamburg.
Oh, wow. So how many years did you do that for?
Well, this was only 5 years. And before that, I worked in plant manager for waste energy plants, and for that I was shipping engineer.
Oh, wow. So you have a lot of experience doing a lot of different jobs, and then you come here and now you're doing something completely different, right?
It's huge different.
Night and day, right?
Nothing to do with the jobs what I did before.
Right. So when you came here, you really liked Ecuador. What was the thing that really called your attention out the most when you came? Like you were backpacking and you said, okay, this is so good, I want to come back. Why?
Well, in Germany, I had a very good job, good money, good. I had a house and everything, but in the end of the day, there was two decisions or two things what happened. When I came back, my heels security, he told me, now you have to work more than 16 years more, then you are finished with your work and you get the retirement. that was one decision, and I said 16 years to work hard more.
And-
I didn't know it is good for the heels.
Sorry, at what age did that happen?
50.
At 50. So they said you need to work until you're 66 to retire.
Exactly.
Okay.
And in Germany for my last walk, it was a big work, very responsibly, 24 hours on phone call, and I had high blood pressure, couldn't sleep, and so I think I need a break, or I need completely another life.
Change the lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. For a healthier you, right?
Exactly.
And so at that point, they basically told you need to change your job or work harder or do what you just mentioned. And you thought, okay, why not Ecuador? Was that the idea?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know what you wanted to do when you came here to actually live?
Well, before I had the stupid idea to sell German sausage and French fries in the city, in the main city of Ibarra, but very fast I've got the experience. This was not a good idea. So then I found this property, but this property, it was a desert. For that it was very was not so expensive, and I only want to live here in a green space, and I didn't expect and didn't plan that later I will open an overlander campground.
Okay, so you found this plot of land and you said you wanted to live here, and that's it?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Do you mind sharing the price that you paid and the how much space it was, or?
This was 12 hectares, but the half is on the mountain, and the rest you can use it for different things. And I thought when I came here, you can do something with this space, but I didn't imagine. There come later little problems because I didn't know how can I get water, how can I power, how can I get the permits. This was a secret for me, but step by step I made a solution.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll get around to those solutions and to those problems a bit more. So you came to Ecuador and you bought this plot of land. How long did you live on the land before you decided to?
3 years.
For 3 years, and
Yes.
did you build a house for yourself on it? Ah, okay. Is it one of the houses you have here?
Yes.
Which one is it?
This is here, the little cabin here.
Ah, okay. The main cam in front. And you
Yes.
lived here for 3 years.
Yes.
And at what time did you decide? I think I should make a business instead of just living here.
This was a stupid idea because I didn't know that the overland existed. we are living here near the Panamericana, but the first there came an overlander from Austria. He spent here a few nights. Few weeks later came an overlander from Suiza, spent here for a few nights. Here was nothing, no water, only a green space, and I charged nothing. And I only speak with the foreigners. And then I met a couple in Ibarra, with a German couple with a Land Rover, and they want to have only ice cream and then want to cross the border. And I told them, well, it's late to go to the border, you can stay here for a while. And they stayed here 3 months. And then I asked, where are they come from? And I looked in Google, in the social, and I saw there are a lot of overlanders, more or less every time 350 overlanders are on the road from Alaska to Argentina.
350 per year?
No, for every time.
All year long?
All year long.
Ah, okay. So the
More or
ones
less
that
average.
ones that finish, then
Exactly.
someone comes in.
Exactly.
A constant 350 travelers.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And that's going both ways, up
Exactly.
and down. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So
And
you
then,
discovered that, huh?
Yes, and then I decided why I don't open a campground. And until now, we are the first and the only international campground officially registered in this country with the Ministerio de Turismo.
Yeah. So you managed. So you actually mentioned to me that a lot of the businesses here, they don't really do things by the books. And being a German person, I'm sure you appreciate doing things the proper way.
Legally.
Yep.
Because you will find a lot of campgrounds in Ecuador and other countries. They named campground, but they don't pay tax. They are not registered. They may have a little space, but they are not an official registered campground. And this is a advantage now for me for different things what we can here to do together with the Ministerio de Turismo.
Sure. And before we get into the before we get into the difficulties, the struggles with making the business as well as the solutions from having the proper permits and whatnot, let's talk about what your business is, because you mentioned overlanders. Now, overlanders, can you just give a brief definition of what an overlander is?
Well, an overlander for me is he is traveling the Panamericana from Alaska or from Cartagena to south or from south to north with his campervan, with his bicycle or with his bike.
Okay, so overlander for you is any type of vehicle. Doesn't have to have an engine or anything. Okay.
Not important.
Gotcha. So I'm an overlander as well.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So do you receive many digital nomads like me that are traveling and working, or do most people just do the trip and they are just kind of relaxing on vacation, traveling at all?
Well, digital nomads, not for a long time, but a lot of overlanders, they came here to spend the time maybe 2 or 3 weeks because they are teacher. They make programs with other companies, or they have to make school with her children, so they need a stable time. We have a good internet here with high speed, and so this is a lot of people they useful. But I have space, of course, for digital nomads here without problem.
Right, and I didn't realize that, so that's my bad. I didn't, when we were chatting about meeting up, I didn't realize you had such amazing cabins. I went up here, I'm like, whoa, they're amazing. So just to be clear about the type of business you have, you opened it up kind of for people with like RV campers, and you didn't have a cabin at first, right? You just said, hey, you can stay on my land,
Yes.
and you didn't have like energy,
No.
you didn't have water, you just
Nothing.
said stay here, and then you slowly built up it into what it is now. So what is it now?
Well, the first problem, one of the first overlanders, he had a broken engine and he needed to stay here a long time because we import the spare parts from Germany, from Europe, and that they don't want to sleep in the workshop in the city. So we thought about maybe it is better we will build a cabin for overlanders with these problems. Then we built the first cabin and it was good for rent. Now we have 4 cabins for rent. Then they come, when we have a lot of overlanders here, they like to make a birthday party or a barbecue. So then we made a barbecue place. Later, an American lady, she came here and she told me about the idea of the tiny house. Then we built 3 tiny houses. And so this was the step by step. And when we opened the campground, we had the idea maybe we can sell cake and German coffee for the overlanders.
Coffee, by the way, thank you.
Yes. And then we opened a coffee only for Sunday. And now we have a big German coffee with a beer garden, and we open every day.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was the first thing I saw. That's the first thing you do see when coming in is the beer garden, the kind of restaurant, cafe, like panaderia, I guess, type of place, like having all the sweets that you would want. And these are recipes that you brought over from Germany, was it?
Yes.
Okay. When I drove in and I came to visit yesterday, I saw the beer garden and I thought, oh, well, really cool idea. I mean, are there any other beer gardens in Ecuador? I was thinking to myself, I can't imagine there are. Do you know of any others?
Well, there's a beer garden in Quito.
Oh, okay.
Bifo, and I think I heard about there's a beer garden in Cuenca, but there's a beer garden in Vilcabamba. That is the only one I know.
Finca, Sommerwind. step back a little bit because I forgot to ask you, and I think it's important to mention, why did you choose to be here in Ibarra and not go to like Otavalo, which is nearby here, Cuenca, which is where a lot of expats they're staying, and is that part of the Pan American route, or did you choose it specifically? Because you mentioned you didn't even like decide to make the business for the Pan American overlanders until after. So why did you choose here in the beginning?
Well, the first destination, just you told a lot of people they don't know about nothing Ecuador. This was the same like me. So, but everybody knows Otavalo. And so I went first to Otavalo. There was a business for sale, but this business had a little problems and I didn't choose it. So then they sent me to Cotacachi. In Cotacachi, there are living more than 800 Americans, retired. There's a community. It is a very nice little village, very clean, very safe, and it's 300 meters higher like this place, but around there is not so much to do. So the real estate agent, we went around Cotacachi, but there was nothing what I'm interested, and so he sent me to his colleague to Ibarra, and in the end of the day we found this place. And I said, near the lake, 360 days spring, and a vision what I can do with this property. This was in the end of the day my decision.
Right. So you went to Otavalo, and then from there you decided, I want to find something nearby.
Yes.
Is there a reason you didn't go to other parts of Ecuador?
Well, or when I found this place later, I went in all the whole Ecuador. I know every part of Ecuador, but in the end of the day, this is a little geologic phenomenon what we have here. This is a special microclimate you will not find in any place ever.
Yeah, the microclimate here is really nice, and you mentioned that the elevation of this place is really good. It's around 2,200 meters, is it?
Exactly.
And I actually lived in a city that has the same elevation in Peru called Arequipa, but it's a massive city and there's no lagoon. And I was thinking to myself, this place is kind of like a mini version of Arequipa with a nice, beautiful lake, because Arequipa also has like really beautiful mountains and whatnot. So let's talk a little bit about Ibarra and why it's such a beautiful, nice place to live, because you chose it partially because of that microclimate, right?
Well, this is the first decision. The second decision is I met my wife here.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. And the other is we are here in the lake, outside of Ibarra, but in 7 minutes I'm in the center of Ibarra with the car. So it's very near. You can buy and you can find everything what you need in Ibarra. All is very closed. If you may have to make paperwork, pay tax, government, whatever. And then around Ibarra, the most people, they don't know what they can do here. I said every time for the overlanders, you can spend here 1 or 2 weeks, and I give everybody every day another adventure trip from here.
There's a lot to do here, isn't there?
It is a lot of to do, but the people is the tourist guides, they don't explain it very well, and a lot of people, they don't know it what you can do here.
Right, so it's kind of an undiscovered place still, right? I mean, obviously, I came past here, I had no idea anything about it, and that's why I came back. Cause I really thought, oh, it looks great, the climate looks really nice, the views so beautiful with the lagoon. And so let's elaborate more on the place, the Ibarra itself, because you said you met your wife here, and you like the microclimate, and there's just a lot of stuff to do. So let's talk about why it's so good to live here. You said there's a city really close by. What other advantages are there on living here?
Well, we have a very big local market. The fruits, the vegetable is very cheap. The lifestyle is another, like in Germany, and maybe you understand, it is very tranquilo. here. And a lot of people in Germany, they asked me, how do you live in Ecuador? What is your lifestyle? What are you doing? You are living on the tree with the monkeys? And I said, I have here no difference like in Germany. I have all what I need. You can have all what you need. There's no difference. And why not here?
So people ask you and they think that it's really difficult to live here. So can you elaborate, what are some challenges that you have here? Because obviously Germany, and I'm from Minnesota, which I would say it kind of has a similar type of culture, lots of German immigrants. What are some challenges that you have being a German living here?
What do you mean special?
So a challenge of, like, for example, maybe for me sometimes, for example, in Latin America, the pace of life is a little slow when I want to get stuff done, like efficiency. Mm-hmm. That's maybe one of the difficulties I have. Like, for example, lines to go to banks and stuff. It's just, for me, it's like I have a little bit of a patience issue, but that's for me. So what are some challenges that maybe you have to deal with living here?
Well, what you said before, that was true. Long line in the bank, long line by the major, long line by the paperwork. But this was 10 years ago. Now we are more digital here. I make everything digital with bank, mobile bank. And the thing is, of course, you need a little patience, but for that, you are living here. When I go to the bank and I need 1 hour, then I need 1 hour because I have not to do anything else later. Maybe then after I go to drink a coffee, I make a little shopping and then I come back. Why? Please tell me why I have to rush. Mm-hmm. This is the accustomed rate from our lifestyle before in Germany. Time is money. Forget it.
So do you think a really important tip for people that would consider moving to Latin America, specifically Ecuador, is to learn to adapt to local culture for the pace of life, for example, in this situation?
Yeah, maybe I can explain you my little stupid words. I said, everybody, you have to know, to accept 5 words in this country. When you don't accept these 5 words, please go back where you came from. Mañana, tranquilo, paciencia, no te preocupes, don't worry, ya mismo viene, he comes soon. When I tell this story, my friends, my colleagues in Germany, and said, oh no, for this I cannot live. And said, okay, stay in your country, but here is this lifestyle. And this is more healthier. Why you are in a hurry? Why? Tell me why you are in a hurry. No.
Yeah, so I definitely see that benefit in adapting and really learning the local culture, because it's having our cultural kind of lifestyle or mentality in this country. They just don't work together perfectly, do they? There's a lot of clash in these different types of.
When I call now by phone my carpenter and I tell him tomorrow at 8 o'clock I have a work for you, I know now that he is not coming at 8 o'clock. He coming later or he come nothing. I have 2 options. I will be very angry, or I said, oh, he is not coming, I make another thing. That's the difference.
There you go. And besides these 5 words that everyone should learn in order to come here and live a sane life, and live a tranquilo life, do you have any other tips for people that maybe you learned after being here? You've been here, you said 14 years, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like to say thank you so much for watching my videos, and if you want to show support for my channel, please hit that like and subscribe like always. And if you want to go above and beyond, you can buy me a coffee, you can support me on Patreon, and you can also join my channel as a member. That goes to me and really helps me provide all the things that I need in order to make these high quality videos for you guys here in Latin America. Let's get back to the video. Are there any other tips, maybe one or two other tips that you can think of that will help someone if they are considering living in this type of cultural situation, this country or Latin America?
Well, it is not easy to start in each country of the world your new life. My experience is you need a background, a financial background for 2 years that you are not worried about the money. If you have 2 years money in the background to make your business stable, that is okay.
So a good first step is to make sure you have 2 years of savings. And then if people want to make a business, then they can basically use that money, that time to do that?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. That's a really good tip. I have never heard that from anyone before. It's a really good thing because some people, they come to Latin America to only retire. They don't really want to work. Do you have any suggestions or tips for people that only want to retire and that are not thinking about making a business?
Yes, it is very easy to come to Ecuador like in retirement. You have to present $1,000 retirement a month, and then you get your retirement visa. That's it.
That's it. So minimum $1,000 payment.
Yes.
For the retirement funds, whatever it is. In the U.S. is what, Social Security and whatever from their business.
Yeah, this is the first one, and the other here in Ecuador, the law says all the retirement pay 50% for the power, 50% for drinking water, 50% for the tax, 50% for flights, and they have their own counter in the bank. They have own counter in government. So here you have a very good life, like in retirement. And how can I explain it in English? The old people in this country, they have a value.
They're treated with respect, right?
Yes.
So when you mentioned 50% on all of these fees or all of these prices, does that mean 50% discount on everything?
Yes.
So there's massive discounts for many different things. Yes. As a retiree.
Exactly.
Oh, I had no idea. I think I read something about one of those, but that's a big list of things, right? Flights, water, electricity. Wow, that's amazing. And I know a lot of people have come to Ecuador in the past as retirees. It has been like a very big retiree hub. But recently, with the types of bad press, with danger, and from what I understand is narco-related stuff, have you seen a change in tourism and a change in people coming here from these past years?
Yes. In January, we had problems with the criminal drugs system. That's true.
And what happened in January for people that don't know?
In January, how can I explain? In Ecuador, it's not possible to put or to plant marijuana, coca, or any like this. But Ecuador is a transport country. So a lot of syndicates, they like to have the main exports centers in the ports, Esmeraldas, Manta, Guayaquil. But they are fighting with each other. And then we got a new president, and the syndicates, they made a lot of trouble to present their value or yeah.
Do they seem kind of weak to the narco traficantes? Is that kind of
yes? And then the president says stop, not more, and then he made this country of what was the name? You couldn't go out. It was an emergency.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And in this time, this was a lot of news, bad news outside of the country. And then 60% of all international tourists, they canceled everything here in this country. And now, step by step, we coming out, but it is a long process because still now we had bad news outside of the country. Why? Example, 2 months ago in Guayaquil, in a little place outside of Guayaquil, two syndicates, they fight each other, and they died 7 bandits. But what was the news? Otra vez massacre in Ecuador. 3 months they shut down the mayor of Manta because he was involucrated in the drugs scene. But what tells the news? Otra vez política está matado.
Which in Spanish, which in English is another time, one more time, a
Yes.
politician is killed.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that means that they hear the other countries and they said, oh, it's too dangerous. But the reality is totally other. You will feel safe in this country. You don't see anything. You have not to be in the little different cities where are these problems. But in the Sierra, in Amazonas, in a little part of coast, is nothing. You will be safe.
So when you said that 60% of the tourists canceled, when was that again?
In January, February, March,
This
the
year?
first this year.
In 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And before that, the tourist
Oh.
numbers were fine? They were
It's
up.
going up.
They were high.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so that was something more recent. I thought it was within the past couple of years.
No,
Okay.
in the pandemic, of course, they
Yeah, of
was
course,
stopped.
Yeah.
Then they growing up, and now stopped again.
Have you noticed a big number in the overlanders, or has that continued to be about the same?
No, a lot of overlanders, when they heard about these problems, for example, they come from down from south, they turned back in Chile, in Peru, because they want to cross Ecuador. That was the same when they heard the people in Mexico or Central America, oh, in Ecuador is some trouble, we don't go to Ecuador. This is true.
So there's a lot less overlanders now than normal. Huh?
Yes.
Gotcha. When do you think that will come back to like 100%? Because it seems like the problems are already being resolved from the current government, right?
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully within the next couple months
Exactly.
or a year, hopefully,
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely good for, I'm here and I was told by so many people, well, I told them I'm either going to Venezuela or Ecuador. They're like, well, Ecuador is better.
Yes, you're true.
And I still want to go to Venezuela. However, people that are pretty big travelers that I talk to regularly, they're like, I wouldn't go to Ecuador. They're pretty scared, and I understand why. I mean, with the press and with all the other countries they could visit, why this one right now, right? They think, okay, well, I could just go to other countries now and come back later to Ecuador, maybe.
Hopefully this report will show other people come to Ecuador. It's a safe country, have a lot of vintage, and you don't imagine what you can see in this little country.
Right. And one other thing I wanted to mention, because I actually like going to places that are a little bit higher risk, or at least perceived as higher risk, because there's less tourists, there's less demand, which means the prices are usually lower, because it's kind of like a lower season, you could say, like low demand. And basically, there's a lot of options. For example, I'm going to Manta in 2 weeks, and I found a really great place to stay. And I think everyone's just scared about going there because of the stories you mentioned of the fighting cartels between the main port cities. And I mean, these are just opportunities to have a better tourist experience, even though people say it's so bad. I mean, you're mentioning now is basically unheard of to see an actual like bad thing happen. Just happens randomly around the country, one place here, one time there. It's not like people are just shooting each other everywhere on the streets, right? That's what people think. Oh, if I go to Ecuador, every city is just people with guns shooting each other, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is not the reality. And if you come now to Ecuador, the most important tourist place, you will feel alone. There's nobody.
Right. And for some people, I think for most people, being a tourist and being surrounded by too many people is uncomfortable, right? So I told my friends that said, "Hey, I want to visit you in South America." I said, "Ecuador, I'll be there next week." They're like, I don't know. I'm like, this is the time to come.
This is the problem.
Lower
Yes.
prices, less tourists.
Exactly.
I mean, this is the time to
right.
come.
This is right.
And basically, many people just, they're persuaded by the news media coverage. So that it is, but as you mentioned, the reality is different, right? So for retirees that are coming to stay in Ecuador and live in Ecuador, what are maybe the three main cities or main parts of Ecuador you would recommend to them?
Well, Cuenca is for me is the town number one in Ecuador, but there are living a lot of expats. Why you don't come to Ibarra? Quito, well, this is a modern city where you find everywhere. And the other places are not so much attractive. For example, Ambato, what you do there, or La Tacunga.
Do you think those places are not as...
This is the most big places in Oriabamba in the Sierra. In the Amazonas, a lot of people cannot live. They can visit, but it's very humid. It was very warm.
Okay.
And in the coast, yes, you can live very easy, but now the prices are a little higher to buy a property or a house or anything, rent. And here in Ibarra, we are in the north of province, and you look, we have very modern hospitals. We have everything what you can go in, to find in the supermarket. We have a stable climate here, and this is my vintage or my opportunity for the retirement. They come here.
So another reason for coming to Ecuador is for these really good climates, right? Because Cuenca, from what I understand, it's kind of it's a colder version of this here, right? Because this is 2,200 meters. I think from what I understand, Cuenca is 2,600 or 2,700 meters, something like that.
Yes.
Kind of the same altitude as Bogota in Colombia.
Yes.
Does it have kind of the similar amount of rainfall in that city, or is there less rainfall here than there?
No, here's a less
Here's
rainfall.
less.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know one thing I don't like is being in really high altitudes with lots of rain. And
Exactly.
Bogota is kind of like that. Bogota is a pretty rainy city and is really high, whereas here it's high but not rainy.
Just a few moments ago, you made a view in this property. You see, in this moment, it's like Mexico. Yeah, it's a dry season.
Yeah.
But in 2 weeks, I start the rain. But it's not a rain season. That means in the night is raining, in the day is okay. It is very easy. Yes.
Right. So the type of rainy season that people maybe might be scared of is not the same here as you'll see in Medellin
No.
and actual rainy places. I was in Pereira, super rainy in Pereira,
Exactly.
like one of the rainiest cities in the country. So
Forget it.
it's a way different situation, right? You can definitely tell just from being here. It's just you can feel that it's dry, which I think for a lot of people, for example, my mom, she has problems with asthma, and she's like, I need a dry place. I'm like, there's a lot of great places in South America. Ibarra, for example, you said. I said Peru has many options like that as well. So that would be a good suggestion for people looking for that type of climate, right? And it's a nice small city. There's a lot of benefits from being here, right?
Yes.
Could you give us 4 different points about coming here for retirees if they're thinking about where should I go and you think, well, this is a great option. Can you give them 4 points for coming here?
Yes. The first is a lot of people we told just about don't know about nothing Ecuador. So the best experience for me is first you have to come here to have the feeling about Ecuador. So that means you need more or less a half year or 1 year to choose your place. In this time, you can rent a cabin for 1 year, a tiny house for 1 year, and from here it's very easy to explore all the country, and then you'll find your personally property or time to live. That is the first, and I can help with all the paperworks, and this is the most important things, I think.
Gotcha. So some great tips for people retiring to come here. would be to spend a couple of years just researching where to go and spending time in that place.
Exactly.
Right, and then making sure they do the proper paperwork to be legally registered here.
Exactly.
To avoid problems. Any other tips you have for people thinking about retiring in Ecuador?
You have to buy a car because if you are here and you are living in a house, you have so lot of things to see that you need a car, and it is easy to buy a car when you are here stabled and you have your cedula, your ID card, and then you can explore the whole country. And I think you will see that you made the right decision.
So having some transportation is a good option. How about motorcycles?
A motorcycle you can rent here, you can buy here, of course.
Yeah.
Big one.
Do you think it's safe to drive motorcycles here?
Don't worry.
I drive it every day. I think it's pretty good, but you have to definitely learn the style, right? The driving style, local driving style. Beagle. La raza es Beagle, ¿no? Yo tenía uno también antes. So you clearly have a very big area of land for your business and you developed it in such a beautiful way. I wanted to chat a little bit more about your company, your services you have here. So what is the name of your company?
Well, the name is Finca Sommerwind. In Spanish, viento de verano. Because now we have no clouds, and if we have no clouds in the midday, we have strong wind, the summer wind. That was the idea of the name. And in this finca, we have three parts of business: the German coffee with the German beer garden, the overlander places, the campground, and the cabins with the tiny houses.
We can see in the background some of the overlanders that are here now. Do a lot of people come in vehicles like this one?
Yes, we have 25 or 30 until 35, more or less, overlanders per month with cars, with bikes, with bicycle here.
And how many spaces do you have for customers or for people coming to stay here?
I have space for 30 overlanders. It's more than 2,000 or 3,000 square meters.
From what countries are the majority of your customers?
Well, I can show you later a blackboard with all the letters of all countries we had here. Here come every part of the world. We had just few weeks ago from Singapore, from Malaysia, from India, China, Japan. We have Swiss guys and any like this.
Are there any things that you would like to mention to the people watching about your business here?
90% of all the overlanders, they come here, they have problems with the car, with the engine, with the heels, or with the paperwork. We have a very good network for every special things what you have: a car, brakes, engine, diesel, chassis, broken chassis, or everything. We have a lot of made a lot of solutions. Then we have good hospitals here. If you have some problems with your heels, also we have good solutions. And if you extend the visa, or we can help you by the migration, by the aduana. And we have space for long time parking, and I can help you with the paperwork by the aduana, that you can store the car here, can go back to country We have a lot of opportunities what you can do here. You can have a barbecue place with other overlanders, because a lot of people, they said me, we didn't meet anybody on the road, but here's the meeting point.
Clearly, this is an amazing story of moving to a country that he didn't even know before 14 years ago, and look what he has made for himself. Hans, I really appreciate you giving us your story, sharing all these things that you've done in this past 14 years, or was it 11 years with the business, and hearing all your tips about coming here if people do want to move here, because this is a really kind of a diamond in the rough in Latin America, isn't it? And it used to be super popular, and now it's not. And I don't think, like you said, there's any reason to be afraid of staying here.
No, if you come here, I can tell you a lot of spots in this country where you have to go, where you can go, and where it's not necessary to go.
Fantastic. Well, if you're planning to come here to Ecuador, here in Ibarra, I can't do the R roll. So
Ibarra.
Ibarra, here in South America, guys. Thank you for checking out this story about Hans from Germany. And if you like all the material that I'm bringing to you, all these new places to stay, to visit, to retire to, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. And as always, hasta la próxima. Thank you so much, Hans.
Thank you, Amy. Welcome.